Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. Lucky Strikes blowing smoke rings at you from the studios of Comfortably Zoned Radio, and it's time for Dodgers baseball, a tale of two cities from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. We hope you'll have a couple of cold shapers during the broadcast. I'm your host, Peter Trunk, and my co-host, as always, is Ron Rabiovitz. Ron, how you doing?
Hi, Peter. How are you? I'm doing great. Thank you.
Okay, very, very good. And I hope the weather is okay where you are.
It was 87 today.
There you go. With no rain, I suppose, right?
No
very
rain.
good.
Blue skies.
All right.
Yep.
We have a guest tonight. We have a guest tonight who is no stranger to the airwaves here at Comfortably Zoned Radio. Zigville, as I call it. His name is Marc, and Marc is I can't explain this very well, so I'm going to let him explain it, but I'll try my best. Marc is a young fellow. He's only 52.
Only.
But he's a Brooklyn Dodger fan. And this amazes me, and I'm sure a few other people. And I want Marc to come on and tell us why he's a Dodger fan, how he's a Dodger fan, and all things Brooklyn. Marc,
I want to welcome Marc Weiss to the show. I'm so
Marc
glad
Weiss,
you're with
yes.
us.
Marc Weiss, how are you?
I am fantastic, guys. I really am. I just came off the softball field. I coach my daughter's travel team, and those kids keep me young. I enjoy it so much, and so I've got a lot of energy right now. I don't know how you guys are going to rein me in because I can go off the rails at any time.
Well, you can do that. You can do that. And it's been done before. And it's been done before on this show by yours truly.
No 7-second delay needed, though. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay, Marc, first of all, tell me, how the heck are you a Dodger fan?
Oh, that's a great question. And, you know, I'd have to go back and bring it and really give homage to three people. My grandfather, Harry Sobel, my grandmother, Mary Sobel, and my mom, Shirley Weiss. They were the biggest Dodger fans in the history of the Brooklyn Dodgers. Well, at least that's what we like to think about it that way anyway. And I grew up hearing all of the stories from the time I could remember. And they used to, I'll use the word, it's a technical term, people, they would schlep me out to Shea Stadium to watch the Mets play. But talk about Dodgers while we were in the car. And the Mets just, I'll root for the Mets because my friends love them. I go to games with my friends all the time. I probably go to 15 or 20 games a year, but I'm not a Mets fan. I don't want them to lose unless they're playing the Dodgers, in which case they got to lose. There's just no question about it. My friends know that. But I got dragged out there for all those games. I love baseball, but there's something about that Pantone 294 color that and those stories that just got me so wound up. I grew up, I tell everyone, I grew up 10 minutes and one generation away from Ebbets Field. I must have passed it so many times as a kid and just saw those buildings, and I would just look up and I would say, why? Why isn't there a team right over here? People would tell me how like the heart and soul of my beloved Brooklyn was torn out by a guy whose name I was never allowed to mention in the house, by the way. Could not mention that guy's name. So I won't mention it here. We'll just call him Whale Belly for short.
Yeah, Whale Belly.
Okay.
But they were, my mother was, Ronnie, if my mom was alive, the two of you would exchange Jackie stories because she loved Jackie. She loved the way he would dance off the bases, and I would hear these stories about everything like that. And everything was always, wait till next year. I always heard that story, and then there was next year.
Yeah.
And it just,
right.
So it's in my blood. And then, of course,
it's in your blood.
And it's like you can't deny it. What's in your blood is in your blood. And you know what? For us growing up, young kids in the Jewish community, to have Sandy Koufax who pitched for the Dodgers, there's a continuity there as well. I mean, that's God's left arm. And so that just brings it home to us that we could play ball. Like, we're just not the students, you know. We can be students of the game and play it too.
Right. Exactly.
And
Marc,
so
I have to ask you a question.
I love the Dodgers.
I have to ask you a question. Wait, I have to interrupt. I'm sorry. Pantene Blue 294. A lot of our listeners are not going to know what that is. Can you briefly describe what you're talking about when you see when you say that?
That is the official printer's color for Dodger Blue.
Okay.
And it's also turned into this huge fan club that does travel events to go to Dodger games. I think they go to like 5 or 6 road games every year, and they really represent. I got to hang out with them last year at the Dodgers game against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. And they are fanatics. And the best part about it is I think that they are the same type of people who were rooting for the Dodgers when they played in Brooklyn, because everyone looks different. They come from different backgrounds. They speak different languages, but they have one common thread. They love the Dodgers. And was that not the epitome of a Brooklyn fan?
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Exactly.
You couldn't find that in any other place you went to, of any stadium. I mean, if you went to to see the Cardinals play, Cardinal fans look like Cardinal fans.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
They're a pretty homogeneous group. And the Yankee fans, I mean, that was like rooting for, my grandfather used to say, like rooting for U.S. Steel. They won every year. What fun is that?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Mark, tell me a little bit about this past weekend. That was so exciting. I saw some posts on Facebook. I was so jealous that I wasn't there.
You should be jealous.
I'm very jealous. And I want to hear all about it. And I also want to hear about your trip to the Hall of Fame for induction weekend.
Two great topics. Well, first of all, we really missed you not being there. Honestly,
I know.
I thought that it would have been so great. If there would have been 2 people I could have had there, at least I know you could have made it. The other person would have been my mom, because she would have got the total kick out of it, because they actually installed a home plate. Where home plate was in Ebbets Field, it's in one of the walkways going up to one of the buildings. Ken Burns donated the money to put it in there because he did the documentary last year. And so we actually now have a point that we can start off of when we stand at home plate and really know where everything was at Ebbets Field.
Isn't that fabulous?
It's fabulous. Bill Hall, who's one of the big driving forces behind the Brooklyn Dodgers nostalgia page on Facebook, he came in from Portland. Bill is a wonderful guy. I mean, I think Bill and Ronnie are they're kindred spirits. I think they're really like brothers from other mothers. They are so similar. They love people. They want to help people. They're not rigid ideologues. They're very open to listen to people from different ideas and weigh things and hash things out, as opposed to it's my way or the highway. And Bill is a mensch. For our listeners out there, if they don't know what that word means, it's probably the best compliment I could ever give you if I called you that. And Bill is a total mensch. And he was just like, calling me up and texting me and messaging me about doing this about 3 or 4 months ago. And believe me, 3 or 4 months comes real quick. And so I put together this like crazy itinerary. I'm going to get up in the morning. I'm going to pitch softball at my game at 8:30 in the morning, get in the car, meet them, pick them up. We're going to go to Gill Cemetery plot over at Holy Cross Cemetery, then go out to Citi Field, catch the Mets game, look at the rotunda, see Jackie Robinson in the rotunda, get done with that. After we do that, we're going to go back to where the Barclays Center is, look across the street, because that's where the Dodger Dome is going to be. Then we're going to go over to Nathan's and get hot dogs at Coney Island and maybe catch a breath.
I love it.
That is what my plan was. Well, best laid plan of mice and men. No copyright to Mr. Steinbeck or anything like that, but that went out the window when they moved my game to 10:30 in the morning instead of 8:30. But it was opening day, guys, and when I get to wear the Staten Island Dodger blue, I never miss opening day when I can get it. I have to be in a coma to not be able to pitch opening day. So did that, got in my car and drove out to Citi Field as quick as possible, met Bill and Sackett out there, and Ronald Harvin, my bosom buddy, couldn't make it because he was working, but he said he was going to make it, and then he got stuck doing some extra stuff from work and finally made it by the 8th inning. But we had a great time at the game. Ron showed up. We met this guy, Jerry Rosenbluth, who comes over to us and says, "You guys are too young to be Dodger fans." I'm like, "How do you figure?" He goes, "I grew up and I knew the real Dodgers." And he started telling us stories, and we just, without even trying, we just made a new friend and brought him into our group. And his kids and his grandkids says, "Grandpa, come on, let's go. He goes, "I'm talking Dodgers." He didn't want to go. It was so cool. It's like we gave Jerry a hug and we had to let him go, but we told him he's part of the group. The next event we do, we're dragging him out there. Whether his family likes it or not, we're getting him. There's no question about it. And that's what it's all about. It's like I think that being a Dodger fan means that it's just more than baseball. I really do. I think it's like a family type of thing. It's always been family. It's always been community. They were a community team. And
That's
So
right.
we toured City Field, and Bill took some pictures, and we had a good time with that. We got to the rotunda, and we looked at all the Jackie quotes, and it's amazing because people really give a bum rap to the Wilpons, Fred Wilpon, who owns the Mets. But if you're a Brooklyn Dodger fan, you got to take your hat off to this guy because that rotunda is a shrine to Ebbets Field and Jackie Robinson. And I'm sorry, if you have a complaint about that, come see me.
That's right. And I've been there. I've been to that rotunda.
Is it gorgeous or what?
Oh,
I mean,
I could have. It was so goddamn cold. It was in January.
It is cold there. There's no question. It's cold in June, Ronnie, when you go there. Be honest. You can freeze in June.
There was snow coming in from the sides, but it was great. I felt like I was home.
I've been there many times. It's wonderful.
Now, Peter, I'm going to put interviewer's hat on right now because it's just who I happen to be sometimes, and I can't fight it. But I have a question to ask you. You were physically in Ebbets Field as a kid, correct?
I was.
Now, Ronnie, you saw the Dodgers mostly on road games, right? You didn't see them at home in Ebbets Field.
My father went to Brooklyn a few times to see him. I never was there, no.
Okay, so I'm going to have to throw this question to Peter then. Comparing the rotunda at Citi Field to the real rotunda that it was based off of Ebbets Field, are there a lot of differences, or do you think that they came as close as they could do without really, going back to like old-time type of material and stuff?
There's a lot of differences.
Does it do it justice?
And I'll give Wilpon his due that he was a Sandy Koufax friend.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. The outside of the stadium looks a lot like Ebbets Field. The facade, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
The rotunda, not so much. The rotunda in Ebbets Field, first of all, the lights, the chandeliers were baseballs with crossed bats. It was totally different. And, of course, being that it was thought of and produced in 1913 and then probably tweaked with a few years after that, you're still talking 1920, whatever. Altogether different in the respect that it's just older and it's not as modernized. So it's not as, I don't even know a good adjective to put me outside. Let me sum it up for you like this, Mark. If you stood me outside of Citi Field, and you had me blindfolded, and it was dusk, and you said, "Okay, we're going to take off you're going to be able to see, and take it off, and tell me what you see," and I would have looked up and I would have said, "Wow, looks sort of like Ebbets Field." Yeah. That's what I would have said. If you did the same thing,
said when we drove up there.
It definitely would have said that. No doubt about it.
Yeah, me too.
If you brought me into the rotunda and stood me in the middle, and you took off the blindfold and said, "What do you think?" I would look and I would say, "Wow, pretty nice. I like it. It looks almost like somebody tried to replicate Ebbets Field rotunda, but they fell short." Now, that's not a knock.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a knock. I've been in the rotunda many times at Citi Field, and I've walked around the entire stadium, every inch of it, and I like it a lot. I think it's way better than Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium is ridiculous. It's like an airport.
Oh, you mean a shopping mall with a field?
It's like a shopping mall. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's horrible. But anyway, the sad part to a guy my age is standing outside or inside, looking at the rotunda or the outside. It's still sad to know that both Wrigley Field and Fenway Park exist, and there is absolutely no reason why Ebbets Field shouldn't still exist, and it should be a jewel just like Wrigley and Fenway, and it should be there today. And so I hope that answer isn't too negative for you.
Right.
But that would be my answer.
Well, you brought something up really good, really important, because we actually were talking about this when we jumped in the car and we drove over to actually go to the Ebbets Field site, which is I said, Bill, I'm asking a stupid question because I ask a lot of stupid questions because I ask a lot of questions, and if you ask a lot of questions, you're bound to ask stupid ones too. But if Fenway Park and Wrigley Field, which are in the same age bracket as Ebbets Field, and both in cold weather locations, so you can't say that the cold weather affected Ebbets Field more than that. They're still in existence and thriving, and the neighborhoods around them are thriving. Why is this place not here? Can we just blame one guy? Is that it? Can we blame him? Because I'm okay with that. I couldn't mention his name anyway growing up.
Well, Bill.
That's right.
Can we blame him? I mean, I've heard all the revisionists like try to blame it on Robert Moses, and I know he was a cold autocrat, but he it takes two to tango, and Whalebelly wanted something that he was never going to get, which is another part of our journey. Is we actually went by the area where Barclays Center is, which across the street where the mall is, was actually where he wanted to put his Dodger Dome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we looked at it, and it's actually that mall is built to look a little bit. It has like shades of Ebbets Field built into it, and you look at it, and I went because it just annoyed me beyond belief.
There's no reason.
And after Bill and I, we took some pictures, and we got done with that, and then we just drove right past it because it was just very frustrating. So we went past it. We went to Ebbets. We parked the car, and before we did, we got like within about 10 blocks, and I said, Bill, do you feel it? And he's looking at me. He goes, feel what? I said, do you feel it? And he goes, what? The ghosts. What ghost? I said, you don't feel the ghosts? I said, I do. He goes, and he looked at me, and I could swear he looked at me, and he was saying, oh boy, I got a live one driving the car, and he's the guy who's responsible for our well-being for the next 2 hours, so I better humor him. So I explained to him what the ghosts were and how I feel. Like I hear, like, remember that day I called you on the phone, Ronnie? I said, I'm driving by Ebbets Field, I hear Jackie's voice, I feel him.
That's right. That's right.
And I really did. And I heard my mom's voice, my grandparents' voice. I heard Jackie's high-pitched, squeaky voice.
High-pitched voice, right.
And I heard it, and I felt it, and I get these chills, and I get these shakes, and I don't understand it. I can't explain it. It's like my grandfather used to think like I was like reincarnated from another time, the stuff that I know and think and stuff like that. And I don't even want to broach it. Maybe it's true or not. But we get out of the car, and Bill looks at me, and he said to me, I feel it. I feel the ghost. I said, you do, don't you? He goes, holy, I do. I thought you were like some crazy mystic with all that stuff, but you're right. I said, I'm telling you. And then once we got to Jackie's mural, he was like, it's like he's here. I said, I'm telling you he's here. I'm telling you he's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because you hear the crowd noise. Yeah. You feel it. It's like really strange because a lot of parts of that neighborhood haven't changed. The only thing that's really changed much is like there's a bank there now, there's a Rite Aid, but they actually, a CVS or something like that, but they put the murals, they're beautiful murals on the wall. I put them on my Facebook page, the pictures I took. So those are nice. But there were some people making some really condescending comments about, oh, did you bring a tank? Is anyone there to make you safe and stuff like that? And there was not one moment that we ever felt like we were ever unsafe.
Of course.
Matter of fact, one of the local guys helped us find home plate because we never would have found it. We would have walked around that complex 80 times and died of old age before we ever found it. But he knew where it was. He took us there and he showed it to us. We met a young couple that's actually they just moved in a few weeks ago. It's kind of like there's a little bit of gentrification going on in the Ebbets Field houses too. And they wanted to give us a tour. They actually invited us back for the 24th, which is the 60th anniversary of the last game the Dodgers played at, I can't even say it, at Ebbets Field. And so we're going to do like a little mini seance or something about it. Right. We're going to talk to the spirits because we feel them and we know they're there. And they're actually trying to get them to start putting Dodger murals, a little bit of like a Dodger Hall of Fame, and really start to embrace the history of that place and not just make it this cold antiseptic building anymore.
Right. That'd be great.
I'm sure that'll happen. I'm sure that'll happen.
Sure. Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
It's an exciting time for that area too. I think it's really going to revitalize itself.
Yeah, well, a lot of portions of Brooklyn have done that. They really have. They've come back strong, very, very strong. I belong to a model train club, and I have some cynics in my club, and they always see me with my Dodger shirts and my Brooklyn shirts and everything. And if you love it so much, why don't you go back? And, of course, that's a racist question because they want me to say because there are too many blacks or browns. But the answer is I can't afford it. And I love telling them the answer because it's the truth.
You can't
And
afford
I've gone back on bus trips to pizza parlors, like a pizza parlor bus trip that you pay for here in Jersey, and they bring you over to Brooklyn. They bring you to about 5 or 6 different pizza parlors or whatever, and they go past the Ebbetsfield apartments, and the guy's talking on a little microphone in the front of the bus, and I was...
To your left is Lenny and John's on Flatbush and Flatlands. To your right is L&B's Pomona Gardens. This is where Tony got the shells, and they weren't stuffed.
Exactly. So
exactly. So anyway, make a long story short, when I would take those bus rides, and I took more than one of them. I took a Christmas lights tour of Brooklyn. I took a pizza tour. I took all kinds of tours of Brooklyn. I didn't feel like driving over there with my wife, so we just went on the bus. We paid the money. We went on the bus. It was wonderful. You get off like at 5 different stops, and you eat a little here and there and everything. But it's funny because when the guy goes past Ebbetsfield, the bus driver or the guy who's running the tour will have a little microphone, and he'll be telling the people about, Ebbetsfield and the Dodgers and stuff. And of course, I had to interrupt him about 36 times with the correct information. He would have the information, Robert Moses, blah, 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 and I would, no, wait a minute, hold it.
Wrong answer.
Wrong answer, not true, blah, 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 this and that. And, and all the revisionist bullshit. And I just would have to keep on.
Can we just get
after a while,
away for everyone listening? If you believe the Robert Moses story, it is revisionist bullshit. Point blank, it's not the truth. It's something that's been created and cultivated by the O'Malley family first to get him into the Hall of Fame. Oh, I said the name too. Someone's going to give me. I just now heard my grandfather's voice in my head, and it's not good.
You're suspended from the comfortably zoned radio station.
Exactly. We should have gone on 7-second delay. You should have bleeped that one out.
You can say fuck, but you can't say O'Malley.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Tell us about juniors. Did you guys go to juniors, I hope?
Actually, we drove by juniors, but we were in a rush because we wanted to get to Ebbetsfield before it got dark because we wouldn't be able to take any pictures. So we didn't go to juniors.
Been in juniors, right?
But I've a million times been in juniors, but the best part is Bill got to go to juniors the next day because he had lunch with someone named Irene Hodges.
Oh,
you might have heard of this woman. She's related to a guy who knows something about who was somehow connected to the Dodgers. I'm not sure how.
Yeah. I'm not sure how myself.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how he's not in the Hall of Fame, but don't get me started on that guy.
A guy from Oregon comes into New York City and he's got a play date with Irene Hodges.
Exactly. I live 20 minutes from her, and I can't even get the mower lawn.
Bill's a great guy. He's such a great guy. I've been on a couple shows. He's been on our show a lot. On the
a lot.
This show, he's great. He's fabulous.
Bill's a great guy. I think he should run for president.
Let me just mention this. You know what? That's not too fairy tale-ish.
And you know what the best part about it is? Bill is a spitting image of Happy Felton.
Should. The guy is good.
Yes,
that's right. But you know what? He sounds like, if you close your eyes and listen to Bill Hall, he sounds just like Dick Cavett.
You're right.
He does. Yes, he
does. You've got to go to YouTube, put on any old Dick Cavett show, close your eyes, and you're listening to Bill Hall.
That's right.
You're listening to Bill Hall. He's the exact same voice as Dick
It's so
Cavett.
funny.
It's amazing.
That's great. So when Bill and I were talking, it was like, so when Bill and I were talking, it was really Dick Cavett and Jerry Lewis having a conversation.
Right, exactly.
Hello.
There you go.
There you go.
So
I told Bill. I've told Bill in the past. I said we could bill you. No pun intended. We could bill you as our guest as Dick Cavett, and we could talk to you, and no one would be the wiser.
No one would know.
They would think that I was interviewing Dick Cavett. I don't know how much Dick Cavett knows about the Brooklyn Dodgers, but whatever. He sounds exactly like him.
So when I found out he was having lunch with Irene Hodges, I said, I have this big training session and meeting in my office in New Jersey. I'm going to call in sick and crash this thing. He goes, you should. I'm like, I can't do it. I wish I could. I said, but I am like mega jealous. And, I felt bad because we wanted to get Bill to Holy Cross Cemetery because we wanted to see Gil Hodges' gravesite, but unfortunately the cemetery was closed on Sunday. I guess at the time we got out of the Met game and we couldn't get there. Because we also wanted to go right off of the Jackie Robinson Parkway to see Jackie Cemetery plot as well, but we couldn't either because we couldn't do the same thing either because it was closed too. So I felt bad. I let him down big time on those two.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got him an Nathan's hot dog, and I think that kind of makes up for a lot.
Yeah, right. That's
Exactly.
And he got to see the Jackie Pee Wee statue right in front of whatever they call that park now in Coney Island, MCU, MOUSC. I have no idea what they call it.
Yeah. Right. Nice statue.
So we got that one.
Yeah.
We put that was like a bonus. That was like a bonus question or whatever. You know, he got extra credit on that one. So we did that.
Did you see the Johnny Padres and Roy Campanella statues in Cooperstown?
I always see that one.
Okay.
I always do. That's in the when you go through the broadcaster part, you see it out the back door.
Yep.
Yep.
But I go up to Cooperstown. We've started a tradition last year, and we did it again this year. And I think it's once you do it 2 years in a row, it's close to being a tradition. We do it again next year, and it becomes an official tradition as we go up for induction weekend and have a blast.
How do you get rooms?
He does.
How do we get rooms?
Yeah.
My friend books a room like the day they announce when the date is going to be for the next one. We already have a room for next year.
Oh my God.
But we also have to stay like 45 minutes out of town. It's like my friend Eddie turns around and says to me, we're so far out of town for this hotel room. I could have gone and crashed by my parents' bungalow over in Monticello.
I see a lot of pictures. I see a lot of pictures on Facebook of you in Cooperstown speaking with ex-players sitting at what appears to be card tables, giving out autographed pictures of themselves. And tell us a little bit about that.
I'm a
people who haven't experienced that.
See, I'm a party crasher. I schmooze them, and I do a little name dropping. See, it's like when you do this little show with a former major leaguer, and you throw his name around a little bit, all of a sudden you start to make connections with those guys who know him and ask questions, and next thing you know, you get to sit at the table and hang out with them. So I am the ultimate party crasher. I have no shame when it comes to it whatsoever. But to be quite honest, guys, I really respect these guys, and they hear garbage all the time. I'll tell you, you know the one way to tick off a former Major League Baseball player? Right. Tell them I could have made it, but I got injured or whatever happened, and they get really annoyed because they feel like that's a big sign of disrespect to the skill and the hard work that they put in. And I always tell them I didn't make it for a couple of major reasons, and they tell me why. I said lack of will and lack of skill.
There you go.
And they respect that because they understand that I get who they are and what they do. They're all interesting people. Fergie Jenkins is a great friend of our show. I've met Fergie a number of times in spring training at different events. I met him at Billy's event over was it Moravian College over in Bethlehem, PA. Fergie was a keynote speaker. We hung out with him. Great guy. And it's like I've got to meet these guys through knowing Mark. But I respect them, and I treat them as important as they are. Just like with our show, there's a reason why it's Mark with a K before Mark with a C. Even though Ralph wants to put my name first for alphabetical reasons because he's very alphabetical, I always tell him Mark's the star of the show. No one's tuning in to listen to the Jewish kid from Brooklyn. They're tuning in to listen to the former major leaguer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right.
That's why everybody here tunes in to hear Ronnie Rabiovitz. I don't even know why I say I'm your host, Peter Trunk, and my co-host is Ronnie Rabiovitz. I should just let Ronnie do the whole spiel in the beginning with the Lucky Strikes and the shades of beer and all that stuff.
No.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, if you guys became a rap group, you could be Two Live Jews.
That's right.
Nice.
So what was it like to hear Rachel Robinson speak at the Hall of Fame?
It was mesmerizing. First, you have to realize that Mrs. Robinson, you could say Rachel Robinson because you're friends of the family. I'm extremely respectful. I call her Mrs. Robinson, and you crazy people out there, it's got nothing to do with the movie. Okay, so stop that. Don't laugh. No connection.
Right.
But so seriously, she is. If you looked up the word class in the dictionary and there was a picture next to it, you would see her face. because
Absolutely.
she is
Absolutely.
the epitome of class.
Epitome of class. That's right.
And Ronnie, I have said to you a number of times that I truly believe that the reason Jackie was able to go through the journey that he went through was because she was at his side physically and spiritually
Absolutely.
the whole way. And why is she not in the Hall of Fame?
Agreed.
Right. Right.
If you could
Agreed.
put that heavy-set guy who stole our team in the Hall of Fame and a guy like Bowie Kuhn in the Hall of Fame, then Mrs. Robinson needs a plaque in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Hint,
Absolutely.
Let me add to that, Mark.
Committee 2020.
Marc Weiss, let me add to that, please. Many, many years ago, Mr. Branch Rickey sent Clyde Sukforth out to scout Jackie Robinson. And he went to see Jackie Robinson play, I believe it was with the Kansas City Monarchs.
Yeah.
And he came back and he said, you know, this and that, he can run, he can throw, he can hit, blah, 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 blah. He said, well, what's the intangible? What do you have for me, Clyde, that I can hang a hat on? And he said, let me tell you something. There's a woman called Rachel, and that's his girlfriend, it's his fiance, and she's planning to marry Jackie. Any woman with the class of Rachel who's that interested in this guy, he's got to be a great man.
That's right.
And that's right. What Branch Rickey hung his hat on and decided
the deal.
That Jackie was going to be the guy, and it wasn't going to be Roy, it wasn't going to be Nuke, it wasn't going to be those other guys, it was going to be Jackie, because Clyde Sukforth told him, if this woman is going to marry this man, this guy's the real deal. That's how she impressed Clyde Sukforth.
Exactly.
Many years ago.
Exactly.
I think Mr. Rickey, I was going to say, I think Mr. Rickey was so impressed by the fact that just by the way the Robinsons carried themselves as dignified human beings.
Right.
And I think he was impressed by the fact that Jackie was well educated. And that was important.
Right.
And I think, honestly, when he walked into that first, I think, Ronnie, when he walked into that first Dodger locker room, he was playing with teammates who some of them maybe didn't even get out of high school. I mean, he was so much their superior intellectually.
Exactly.
I mean, athletically, I mean, that's a given because he was such. I mean, baseball wasn't even his best sport. I mean, he should have been a Heisman Trophy football player.
That's right. He was an All-American in football, All-American in basketball. He broke the world's record in broad jump and track, and he played baseball. He was the only athlete ever to letter in 4 sports at UCLA. It's unbelievable.
I'll tell you, when I see the pictures,
baseball was not his best sport.
When I see the videos or pictures of him standing next to his contemporaries in baseball, he looked like a football player with little kids.
He was big and he was fast. He was so fast.
Solid guy.
Just stealing home 19 times in his career.
And when he stole it in the 55 World Series, he was, 36, 37 at that point.
He was safe.
He was old. He was old and he was safe.
And Rachel used to, every time that Rachel used to see Yogi Berra, before they said hello or anything, Yogi would say, he's out. And she would say, he's safe. And then they'd say hello and be very cordial.
But getting back to your original question, her speech wasn't very long, and she said, "I want you guys to excuse me, but I'm 95 years old, so I'm not going to do a long speech," which was very funny, and it was to the point. She has done a superlative job in not only keeping his legacy alive, but enhancing his legacy.
Exactly. She has. I
know someone who does that. I know someone who does that on a daily basis, and his name is Ron Rabiovitz.
He does.
Yeah, I do.
He does.
He
talks to the young people about Jackie all the time.
All the time. Yeah, I was at Target Field yesterday speaking to kids, and I don't want anybody ever to forget him. And I almost feel like, in a way, that there was a baton toss, that he handed me this baton so that I could carry it and to teach my children, other children, and the world who Jackie Robinson is. And
well put.
Yeah.
I've always felt that when he he passed away. He was 53 years old, correct? 53?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he looked like he was 73. I
Of
really
course,
believe
yeah.
that what he had to go through and endure
What he went through, of course.
took
right.
a toll on his physical and emotional well-being, because it didn't just start in 1947. Think about when the United States Brilliant Army sent him to the South.
Right. That's right.
And I mean, we heard the story about like he got in trouble because he was talking to a white woman who happened to be a friend.
Yeah,
I mean, thank God we don't live in a world where that exists anymore. At least not in my world. I don't see it, and thank God for that. But just from day one, everything that he had to go through and endure, and I think it was probably tougher on him than, like, let's say, the Southern black ball players, because they experienced it every day from the time they were brought up. He grew up in California, where there might have been subtle racism, but not overt racism.
Right. And Rachel grew up in California, and she never experienced this. So for her to go through the South, to go to spring training, it was absolutely horrendous for her. She had never seen anything like this.
Yeah, they got bumped off the plane twice. They had to drive. They had to take a bus. They couldn't use the ladies' room. She couldn't use the ladies' room. There was a whole bunch of shit.
Terrible, yeah. It was terrible, just terrible.
Horrible.
And when you think about that family, just about Mally, his mother, who took these kids, there were several kids, across the South from Carroll, Georgia. Can you imagine that trip to Pasadena in those days?
In those days, it was probably about 2 weeks.
Yeah. And
everywhere they stopped, they probably had to find areas where there was an African American community. Otherwise, they couldn't eat.
Right. Exactly. That's right.
There probably was like some sort of like underground map where they knew that they could travel and go and feel safe.
Yeah, that's right. She was a magnificent woman. She was very proud of her skin color, and Jackie was very proud of his. And he always stood up that way. And, his brother was an athlete, too. I don't know if you know that.
Actually, everyone says that Mac was faster.
He was faster. Well, he was.
Because didn't Mac run the relay with Jesse Owens in the 36 Olympics?
That's right. He came in. Jesse got the gold, and he got the silver. And they stick it right up Hitler's ass. It was the two of them. The United States came in 1-2.
The only thing that bothered me about that is that Avery Brundage made sure that Marty Glickman didn't compete.
Right. That's right. There were two Jewish guys that were supposed to compete.
Horrible.
And it wasn't supposed to be Jesse Owens or Mac Robinson. There was two Jewish runners that were supposed to compete. Yeah, not good.
No, not good.
When
Let's focus on the positive, because if we start talking about the not good, I'm going to get depressed, guys.
Yeah. When I saw Jackie the last time, which was about 6 months before he passed away, I was shocked. I mean, I'd seen him before, but he was really in bad shape. And he was blind in one eye. He was going blind in the other eye. He had suffered from diabetes for many years. He had had a heart attack. And I had to take him by the arm and help him into this restaurant. And he was so happy to see me, and he wanted to hear all about me and my family and me about his. And when we got done with lunch, I hailed him a cab. I got him settled in the cab. I leaned in, I kissed him on the cheek and told him I loved him. And as that cab disappeared into space, I stood on that street corner with tears streaming down my cheeks, because I knew I would never see him again. Wow. And it happened. Yeah. He was something. Yeah.
I think when they interviewed Martin Luther King about him, and they said he was like the beginning of the civil rights movement, he goes, no, Jackie Robinson was the father of the civil rights movement.
Larry King told me, when Larry King interviewed me, he said the first time he interviewed Martin Luther King, he introduced him as the founder of the civil rights movement. And Martin Luther King stopped him and said, Larry, I have to correct you. I'm not the founder. Jackie Robinson was. Larry King told me that story in Los Angeles.
What I think about it is he was the right man at the right time. Mr. Ricky was the right man at the right time. Mrs. Robinson was the right woman at the right time. But Brooklyn was the right place at the right time. Because this doesn't happen in Cincinnati. It doesn't happen in St. Louis.
No.
It probably doesn't happen in Chicago either, and it definitely doesn't happen in the Bronx, and it doesn't happen in
Philadelphia. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And so in Philadelphia and those places, Brooklyn was the eternal melting pot. It still is.
A melting pot. Right. Exactly.
It still is. Brooklyn changes, but it never changes.
It's like based on what America's based on. It is. It's a melting pot, a true melting pot. It's fantastic.
I tell you,
if I had the money, I'd buy a house in Brooklyn Heights tomorrow.
If I come into a huge inheritance, I'll buy a house in Brooklyn.
And we'll all live in it.
It's a hot borough now, isn't it? It's really getting to be quite a place.
It really is. They said there's really no areas in Brooklyn that are affordable anymore.
No.
Yeah.
It's just I remember as a kid, the city would pay people $1 just to take a brownstone off their hands.
Mm.
They
were just the rules were if you buy it and refurbish it and live there for 10 years, it's all yours.
Mm-hmm.
Because
let's stop this and let's go to the Los Angeles Dodgers now for a bit, and let's see what's going on. Let's get your ideas, Mark. What you think is going on? Why did they hit a wall like this? And are they going to come out of that wall? I'm not so sure.
I don't think they. First of all, let's not channel our dark innermost 1951 feelings right now. Let's stay a little bit more positive. Let's channel our 1988 feelings. Let's feel a little bit more positive. Number one. Number two, they didn't hit a wall. They turned off the light switch.
Yeah.
They were up by so many games. They weren't all that thrilled about playing for history. It didn't really mean anything to them because, unfortunately, millennials, their idea of history is it started right after they were born. So most Major League Baseball players, my partner in crime, Mark Weiss, says most Major League Baseball players aren't big historians of the game. They probably find out more stuff from guys like us than they've ever known themselves because they're busy playing it. They're not studying it. And so I think these guys lost interest. I think that they wanted to start bringing in some other players and giving them some playing time. And what happened was they lost their mojo. And
that's right.
Professional sports is, if you don't respect your opponent and you take your foot off the accelerator, it's very hard to get it to go back again.
Right.
How many teams have you seen clinch early, cruise into the playoffs, and go and get knocked out in the first round?
Right. Exactly. And a lot of these other teams are playing their best players.
Of course they are, because nobody wants to see the Dodgers. First of all, the Dodgers are the most hated franchise in the National League, just like the Yankees are the most hated franchise in the American League. And you get hated when you have a lot of success over an elongated period of time and you have a great history. So every one of these other cities, like when I go see the Dodgers on my birthday in Philadelphia, I guarantee you the Philly fans who show up there are going to be really loud and they're going to be really obnoxious and say as many nasty things as they can about the Dodgers and hope that let's keep that streak going, guys.
Right.
Because
I'm going there next Thursday.
Yeah,
I have tickets already, Mark.
Are you going?
I'm going next Thursday, a day game, Dodgers at Philadelphia.
That's great. I'm going too. My daughter and I are actually driving to Valley Forge and we're going to bike to the game.
Really?
You're going to go to that game, the day game?
Yes.
Oh, good.
I'm going on my birthday the 19th, and then I'm going 2 days later on the 21st because I'm going to be off for the Jewish holidays at work.
I will message you on where our seats are, and maybe we can meet in the parking lot before the game or whatever.
Well, just let me know where your seats are because we still haven't picked up our tickets yet. We don't know where we're going to sit. We can probably get something close to you.
Okay. I'll let you know.
Listening to me for 9 innings.
I just got my tickets. I just printed my tickets out today, this afternoon. They're behind home plate. I think they might be up one level.
Okay.
But they're behind home plate. I got aisle seats and I got parking passes for me and my wife. And I will message you on what section it is and exactly where it is. And since it's a 1:05 game, I'm leaving very early, and we're going to have a couple of sandwiches and some beers in the parking lot before we go in. I will be wearing either my Kershaw jersey or my Bellinger jersey. I don't know which. Who knows? And because usually when I go there, I wear my Duke Snyder jersey or my Jackie Robinson jersey, but those are wool. I don't know if I want to wear my really, really, really good ones.
It'll
so
probably be warm. Yeah.
anyway,
I'm leaving at 8. I'm going to leave at 8 from Staten Island, and my daughter and I are going to drive to Valley Forge. We're going to park the car there, and there's a bike path that runs all along the Schuylkill River, and we're going to take that bike path all the way to Center City and then cut across and go to the game. We're going to take our locks and lock up the bikes, and then we're going to go into the game.
How far is
definitely.
Bike?
I think it's about 30 miles from there.
30 miles.
Got to stay in shape. Got young kids.
If I did 30 miles on a bike, they'd have to call the Undertaker.
You'd be able to get through the first 15, and then a hearse would be chasing you for the next 15.
I'd never see the first 15 in the game.
I was thinking of wearing my Duke Snyder jersey, but I'm going to wear that on my birthday because I share a birthday with Duke.
September 26th?
19th?
Nope, September 19th.
September 19th, 1926.
Yep, and I was born 39 years after that.
Okay.
How do you like that? That's
so
great.
I will wear my number 4 Duke Snyder jersey on my birthday. So on the 21st, I will probably wear my Kershaw or my Newcomb.
Okay.
I might wear my Newcomb. I could wear Kershaw. I pretty much have about a zillion. I have a Dodger closet. Okay, a Dodger closet.
Oh, so do I. So
my wife says I don't have as many dresses and as much clothes that you have, and you have a Dodger closet.
My wife says the same thing.
I said, but I'm a Dodger fan. I play for the Staten Island Dodgers, so why would I not have Dodger stuff like crazy?
That's right.
Of course.
Right.
So I mean, it's just, and my daughter will be wearing. She wears number 9 though, but there's a good reason my daughter wears number 9. Her name is Maris.
Oh, really?
One of my father-in-law's favorite players, and a guy I respected a lot, was Roger Maris. So we kind of named her after him.
Thank God she wasn't named Somoli.
Or Amoros.
Well, Somoli wore number 9.
Yeah.
That's why I mentioned Somoli.
That's the reason I wear number 4. I've always worn number 4 my whole life. It's always been my uniform number.
In the Little League, I always asked for number 4. Pony League, number 4. Always wore number 4 coming up.
When I switched the pitcher, they wanted to change my number. When I switched the pitcher, they wanted me to what number do you want to wear? And I was like thinking about how I would do this. So I was thinking I could go with 36 for Nuke, but Nuke had those funky postseasons, so I'm superstitious. I don't want to do that. I could go with 42 for Jackie, but not touching that because I don't deserve to wear that, so I'm not going to do that one. He wasn't a pitcher. Plus he wasn't a pitcher, so I'm not going that way either. And then I was thinking, okay, 32. It's got to be 32, right?
Yeah,
Colfax, Jewish, 32. Sure. And then I said, no, that I'm putting a lot of pressure on. I said, why can't I wear my 4? I'm just going to stick with it. And I always wore my 4. At first, like the nickname I had when I played ball was they started trying to call me the Duke, but it just never. I guess it just didn't work. And then the nickname became the Hammer, and it's stuck since then.
Yeah.
Want to guess where that came from?
Where?
The Hebrew Hammer.
The Hebrew Hammer.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Oh, Hank.
Hold it now. If you wore number 4. If you were number 4 instead of 44, they should have just called you the Ham.
That would be kosher.
No, it would not. No, it would not.
Funny guys, how Dodger is so intertwined in my life. When I joined this team called the Staten Island Dodgers, I thought it was like some sort of message for me.
Right. That's right.
I'm telling you, the first time I put that uniform on, I felt like I was at home. And I played for so many other teams my whole life, but I actually got to wear a Dodger uniform in it for the last 15 years, and I can't complain.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Well, you know how crazy I am. You know when you raise your volume or lower your volume on your radio in your car, I always keep it on like 39 or 42, or you know what I mean. It's always got to be a Dodger uniform number. I can't leave it on anything else. Like if I put it up to 43, I go, okay, Charlie Neal. If I put it up to 45, I say, okay, Johnny Padres. You know what I mean?
My wife's like, what's the combination on your bike lock? I said, oh, that's Labine and Campanella.
There you go, 41 and 30.
She goes,
There you go.
she goes,
There you go.
can you give me real numbers?
How much money do you have in your pocket? My wife will ask me. And I'll say, I got Clem Labine in my pocket. He goes, I got $41 in my pocket.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
I mean,
That's
that's the way it is.
One of the most underrated relief pitchers in the history of the game.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
He was great.
Oh,
He was great.
absolutely. He was.
You know what? Whenever I hear Clem Labine, I don't think of all of his successes. I think of the fact that Chuck Tresson started him in Game 2 of that playoff in '51 and let him go the full game with a 10-0 when the score was 10-0 when he could have had him in the bullpen in Game 3.
That's Tresson.
That's right. That was Tresson.
That's Tresson. That's the genius.
Yeah.
You know, Duke Snyder had nothing but praise for Charlie Tresson, and I used to, you know why? You know, he patted them on the back and he rubbed them and he you know what he did? He was like friendly to them and nice to them and gentlemanly to them. Mm-hmm. He never yelled at them. He never cursed them out. He never told them when they were wrong and stuff. He just patted them and, you know, goosed them and stuff. But I'll tell you what, there's so many instances, don't get me started because we're at the end of the show. There's so many instances where Charlie Tresson could have made a difference. And instead of making a positive one, he made a negative one. And Clem Labine is only one of many faux pas by that man. Anyway, we have come to the end of another episode of Tales Cities, Brooklyn
and
to
for
Los
those
Angeles.
folks out there, I have hijacked another show, which is my trademark.
No, that's
Mark,
exactly what you're supposed to do.
Fabulous.
Then mission
Check
accomplished.
us in the mail, Mark. Check us in the mail.
Absolutely.
Right?
Just don't
I will get to you with my section and my seat numbers. My seat numbers I know are 9 and 10. I'm on the aisle. I just don't remember this section. But anyway, I will get that to you. And let's go Dodgers. And thank you, Ronnie Rabiovitz, my erstwhile partner in crime, and Marc Weiss, our very good guest. Come back again.
Absolutely.
You're welcome to come back whenever you want. And
we love a great time.
Fantastic pictures. Thank you very, very much. I bid you both a good night.
And send me your custom pictures and I will make you baseball cards.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
I'm going to send you another one, Mark.
Awesome.
Okay? Okay. Thanks, buddy.
Okay. We're off the air. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.